Okay.
Right.
Start again.
No, you're not going to laugh this time.
I will. I will.
A quick hello and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Kate Toon.
It never gets old.
Nope, doesn't. That was the second one. We're at DMA, Digital Marketers Australia. Lovely to see you again. Met you at YostCon last year, and you're going back this year.
I am. I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant stuff. They've invited you over, and you're going to be talking about?
I'm going to be talking about personal branding.
Brilliant.
Yes.
That was a brilliant intro
I know.
to today's topic, which is personal branding. I know you're a specialist in copywriting, but you also do personal branding. We just started talking about Britney Spears.
Oh, yes.
Tell me all about Britney.
Well, I think the Britney analogy comes from once you've established your personal brand, what it's going to be, what your brand values are going to be, and what your brand personality is going to be, then I think you need to have something that you stand for, or a shtick. I guess it's a shtick to a degree. It's when people say Jason Barnard, they immediately think the Brand SERP Guy. You know, that's exactly, it just comes to mind.
Yeah.
And you know, you have to be happy to talk about that for a long, long time. So you have to genuinely be passionate about it.
Oh no.
Yes.
I've dug myself a grave.
You do. So the Britney Spears.
Oh no, sorry, I made my bed, I got a lie.
You've made
in
your
it, sorry.
bed, you made your grave, you've got to, anyway. But Britney Spears, the analogy is that, you know, obviously she built her brand on Toxic and Hit Me Baby One More Time, those early songs. And even now, I suspect when she goes on concert, she will still probably drop those songs in and the fans will go wild because that's what she's known for.
So coming from a music background, when I was a musician and people would ask for the same song time and time again, and people in the band would say, oh, I want to play it a bit differently today, but that's not what people want.
It's not,
Stray Cats Strut, which is the Stray Cats famous song, when Brian Setzer doesn't play that lick quite the same way as the record,
people notice.
And they get disappointed.
Yes, and I sometimes think that, you know, gosh, I've been saying the same things. I've even got some of the same jokes, the same analogies that I use, but people it's almost like Kate Toon bingo, that people will go, oh, there she goes. She mentioned piglet jumpers, because you always use blue widgets as your keyword example.
Do I? Yes.
And I always use piglet jumpers as my example.
Piglet jumpers.
I don't know why. I just wanted to pick something absurd that wasn't blue widgets. So yeah, it's about having.
Are you telling me that I'm not original and interesting?
You're fabulously original and interesting.
I was fishing.
You need a new widget.
Thank
but
you.
yeah, so it's having a song to sing, a Britney song. But the other thing is that I think is quite important as well is sometimes taking a contrary viewpoint. So, you know, the rest of the industry thinks this, but you think this. And that doesn't mean that you need to be politicized or talk about religion or anything super controversial. It's just, you know, even when I started out, I was talking about DIY SEO, and that was 6 or 7 years ago, and people were like, you can't teach SEO, it's too big, it's too expansive. And I was like, yes, you can. And that got me some...
And you have.
And I have. 8,000 people now have taken my courses. So, yeah. I could make a gesture there, I nearly did. But, you know, I proved them wrong. But in the early days, that contrary thing got me noticed. And we were talking about that with you as well, with your Budapest comments on Twitter. You know, like talking about something where people go, actually, I don't agree. That's not a bad thing.
Okay, yeah, I mean, with the Budapest thing, I was kind of worried. I mean, when I actually wrote it, I had tears in my eyes. I wrote the article, I was going, I've just discovered something amazing.
Aww.
And I released it, and public reaction was not
great,
what I had hoped for. But that's fine, I think you're right.
It doesn't matter, as long as you can deal, and this is the other thing about personal branding, which is why a lot of people don't do it. It is scary. You're putting yourself out there. There's no brand to hide behind. It is you, and people are going to like you or not like you. And sometimes they make decisions based on, you know, the color of your t-shirt or whether your beard is fluffy enough or whatever it may be. You know, people make a decision very quickly in person, and they do online as well. So you have to be okay with people not liking you.
Oh, look, yeah, that's something we're going to have to. My other worry, and I think a lot of people worry about it, is it looks like you're going me, 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 me.
Yeah.
And it can appear like that, even if you're not necessarily doing it. Do you think that's a problem?
I mean, look, there's all these silly statistics, you know, 80% this, 20% that, whatever. I think, you know, it has to be. It's like having an about page on a website. An about page on a website isn't really about you. It's about what you can do for the people you're about to serve. You know, so you're saying, I have 20 years experience in X, and that means that I have seen all kinds of problems, and there's nothing you can bring me that I won't be able to deal with. If I am qualified as and that means that, it's that bit, it's following the follow through. It's like with sales, when you talk about features, benefits, and advantages. if you just talk about yourself and how glorious you are, that's the features. If you talk about how you help people, that's the benefit. And then if you carry on the conversation with them, that's the advantage. You're kind of taking them through the whole journey.
Okay. And as a personal brand, I have features, benefits, and advantages too.
You do,
yes. Not me personally, but
you do.
But one should also look at one's personal brand in that way.
You should, because one of the things I talk about is having brand values. What do you stand for? What would you never do? And also your brand personality, which is slightly different. So values is kind of like do or die. Maybe you're super honest.
Yeah.
And even though sometimes that might get you into trouble, that's something you could not be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your brand personality might be something like you're odd. You sing at the beginning of your videos. And other people might go, oh, that's not my shtick, but that's so you. And some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it, but the people who love it are going to love it so much harder because it's genuinely you.
Yeah. Okay.
And the good thing about having a personal brand that is you is everything becomes easier.
Yeah.
You don't have to pretend,
That was one thing. I was talking to Deepak Shukla about it last year.
Yeah.
And it was that. It was, if you try and be something you're not, you're never going to carry it off.
No, it's
or
exhausting.
You can carry it off for a couple of weeks, but it's going to fall
People
apart.
see it in your eyes, and you're second guessing everything you write because you're like, is this on brand? You shouldn't, once you've come up with your brand in your head, and I do think it's a worthwhile exercise writing it down, you shouldn't have to refer to it to know how you talk, because how you talk is you. And that also means something I'm going to talk about today in the presentation, that you have to acknowledge your repellent things as well. There's things about you that are odious and obnoxious. We're not going to go into them now because I don't want to make you cry. Yeah. But we all have flaws. We all have flaws, and they are going to come out at some point.
Sure.
So make them part of your brand. So one thing I do is,
what are your flaws?
I think I worry a lot about what people. Despite me being quite confident, sometimes I do worry about what people like my talk, and I also worry like, gosh, am I doing enough? And this, so I talk about that honestly, and people come back. I wrote one yesterday about how conferences really tire me out because I've been away for 4 or 5 days, and you haven't seen your dog, and you're not in your bed, and by about day 5, I'm almost delirious. It's day 5, by the way, people.
All right, okay.
Which
explains a lot.
So instead of kind of hiding that and pretending I'm super confident and everything's going great, I posted about it, and that got, even yesterday it got like 70 or 80 comments of people going, oh God, that's
70 or 80?
Yeah, just overnight. And people just saying, I feel like that at conferences, but everyone else looks like they're having such a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because if you feel like that and you're speaking, then it's okay for me to feel like that. So sharing your flaws can be endearing. I'm all about endearing content in 2020. That's my big thing.
Endearing content?
Endearing.
Is that the new term for 2020?
It's the new
I
Toon
like it.
term.
No, I love it,
yeah, because I think we often try and be informative or smart or witty. But, honestly, you can share innumerable tips, and it doesn't take long for me to understand that you're an expert, to build up that expertise, authority, and trust. But being an expert still might not make me want to buy from you. I want to like you.
Yeah.
I want to feel like you're my people, and that only really that's not going to come out in an SEO tip. That's going to come out in a funny little story you tell about, pouring coffee on yourself on the way to the shops today, and how you just had to pretend that you hadn't poured coffee on you. And I'm like, God, he's so like me. I like him. So not only is he smart and authoritative and trustworthy, I actually like him as well.
So you're into the idea we buy from people and brands that we like.
Yes.
I can't remember who was talking to me about that. Who was saying you have to get them to love your brand too. They won't buy if they don't love your brand.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was kind of saying, well, can you really love a brand? And the answer is, yeah, you can.
Well, this is it.
Apple being a great example.
Well, this is it. And, we're talking about personal branding, but even companies like Apple, they have figureheads that we,
True.
We come to.
Tim Cook's pretty boring, though.
Yes. Well,
Sorry, Tim.
But, think about Elon Musk and Elon Musk and
Oh God, yeah.
Even the biggest personal brands, I'd say probably one of the biggest personal brands out there is the Kardashians, for example.
Right, yeah.
Even the Kardashians, who are probably the biggest personal brand out there, and they don't, people either love them or hate them, they're never going to be as big as the Apples and the Nikes and whatever. But, most of us don't have 3,000 employees across the globe.
No.
Most of us are pretty much selling ourselves. Maybe we have a small team, a mid-sized team. And if you're a medium-sized business, you still need a figurehead. People need someone to look up to follow, to engage with. So, I think that's important.
Brilliant. And the last question then on this topic is, Deepak was talking about it last year. If you've got a personal brand, when you do set up a new business, when you do go and do something else, you've got a really good head start. And you use Rand Fishkin as an example.
Yes.
Is that whatever Rand Fishkin does, people follow?
Yes. I mean, because I think
you like Rand.
I love Rand. I mean, he's also been lovely to me. He was the first guest ever I had on my podcast when I was nobody, and he's a super supportive human being.
Yes.
And the thing about Rand is he is exactly who he is in person. to who he is online. And that is not true. I've met I've met an awful lot of people through speaking at conferences and podcasts, and they're really funny and engaging and sweet online. You meet them in person and it's just like, boom.
Yeah.
Rand is who he is. I think he stands for what he stands for. He's very transparent, and he takes flack for that, but he still is who he is, and he hasn't changed. He hasn't bended to be more popular or less popular. He just is who he is, and that's important because, as you said, he's in it for the long. He's been doing this for ages, and we want to be here for the long game. Yeah. And if we're something we're not in 5 years' time, we're just gonna. It's gonna be exhausting. We'll probably 5 months' time. We'll just be worn out and we won't be able to keep it up anymore, you know. So
brilliant stuff. That's a lovely way to end it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, Kate.